£30 in free bets when you join and place a qualifying £10 fixed odds bet at minimum odds of 1 to 2. Visit spreadx.com/DNA for full terms and conditions. SpreadX Sports. It's in our DNA. 18 plus gamblerware.org. Qualifying bets cannot be cashed out early. Once settled, get 3 free £10 fixed odds bets on consecutive days. Free bet stakes not included in any winnings. Free bets must be claimed within 28 days.
Tommy French to bookmakers. Around since 1933. The sort of place your granddad would have stuck a score on an egg and won a monkey. But now, say hello to Tommy French competitions. Easy to enter and the prizes, mate. We're not talking a voucher for a carvery. We're talking big cash jackpots, instant wins. We've just given away a Spanish villa. So you got trust and a big dollop of flash. Tommy French competitions. 18 plus. No purchase necessary. Play responsibly.
Whatever kind of football fan you are, Talk Sport and the Coral Daily Download are here for it to celebrate the fans every day. Whether you're a front row seater or a prawn sandwich eater, a half and half scarf wearer or a lifelong faithful torch bearer, a retro shirt for every game or bare-chested, even in the rain. For all the latest news, reaction and odds this season, don't miss the Coral Daily Download. Every morning from 6 on Talk Sport with Coral. We're here for the fans. 18 plus gamblerware.org. Europa League live on Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
See your weekend off to a fiery start with a Friday Championship night thriller as TalkSport 2 brings you a back-of-the-net belter. Bristol City versus Derby County.
Oh my word!
Coverage from 7 and kick-off at 8 on Try It, You Might Like It. Championship Hotshot TalkSport 2. It's a belter.
You're listening to Kick Off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gamblerware.org. And we are at the City Ground this evening to see if Nottingham Forest can pull off a miracle. And listen, they've done that before in Europe when they take on Ferencváros to see whether or not they can book their place in the top 8 to avoid the extra playoff round. They do have to win and hope other results go their way as well. Of all the British sides involved this evening on the final night of the Europa League phase, it really is only Rangers who have nothing to play for. So lots at stake. We'll do our best to keep you up to date with everything. And at this present moment, the Ferencváros fans are a bit quiet, but they're the only ones at this present moment providing some atmosphere bar the PA system here at the City Ground. But it's an 8 o'clock kickoff and we'll continue to build up to it. Time now to get an odds update with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gamblerware.org.
And Nicola McGeady joins us. How are you, Nicola?
I'm good. My voice is a bit hoarse. Speaking of atmosphere, I was at Anfield last night, so lots of shouting there. 6 goals for Nottingham. I've never had Anfield before. Can you believe it?
What? And all this time? I can't believe it, as you say. Up and down for all the goal celebrations. I wonder if we'll have goal celebrations aplenty here at the City Ground, Nicola.
Well, look, Forest have been strong at home in the Europa League, winning both previous home games this season. They're favourites again here at 8-13 in 90 minutes. And, you know, their recent form across all competitions is inconsistent, but they did bounce back from that European defeat with a 2-0 win in the Premier League at the weekend. So, you know, punters are feeling confident about their chances tonight. I think the visitors are going to be tough opponents. They've got a brilliant record on the road. They know a win would guaranteed them a place in the last 16, but they are the underdogs. They're 4-1. The draw is 14-5. But I suppose due to both teams' attacking strengths and defensive weaknesses, we expect a high-scoring game. Over 2.5 goals is 10-11. And Nottingham Forest to win and over 3.5 goals in the match. That's been pretty popular at 19-5.
Elsewhere at Villa Park, Aston Villa hosting RB Salzburg. Villa already through to the last 16, but they've got the top 2 in their sights.
Oh, they do. They're strong favourites in Atley. They're 2-5, given their brilliant home record. As you said, guaranteed a spot in the round of 16, but Salzburg must win to have any hope of advancing to the knockout stages. They're 5-1. It is a big ask. They do struggle on the road, so I have to say they are pretty friendless in the betting. The draw's 19-5, but Salzburg, they must go on the attack tonight. So we should see goals. It's odds on at 7-10 that both teams score tonight, and over 3.5 goals is attracting a bit of a support there at 6-4. And then in the correct score market, 2-1 is in there at 7-1. 3-1 bigger again at 9-1. Just some of the markets that punters are looking at. And Ollie Watkins, of course, Villa's top scorer. He's 4-1 to score first. But all signs point towards it being Villa's night. They're having an unbelievable season. Silverware is deserving, and they're the favourites in the Europa League outright market at 3-1. Clear favourites, in fact, with Roma double their odds at 6-1 second favourites.
It was a good night for the English sides in the Champions League yesterday. So how does the outright betting look for that competition?
Yeah, a really brilliant night all round, not to mention Benfica's win, but 5 of the 6 English teams in the competition qualified in the top 8 and automatically progressed to the quarter-finals. There's only Newcastle missing out, but look, they've got the playoff phase. They're 40-1. Arsenal took the top spot overall. They're 4-1 favourites to win the trophy in May. I can't say we're being knocked over with support for Arsenal. People are still a little bit apprehensive of saying they're going to do it, but it would be brilliant for the club. Bayern Munich second favourites at 9-2, and we can't split Barcelona at City in there at 15-2. I mentioned the Liverpool game last night. They're in there at 10-1. And Chelsea were brilliant last night in Naples, beating Napoli 3-2 and relegating them altogether. Chelsea are in there at 16-1. It's a tough call. It's a really, it's really tight in the betting.
Nicola, as always, thank you very much. Rest your voice, but great to chat to you. That was the latest odds then with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus GambleAware.org.
Okay, on the way, we'll get a reminder of all the team news from here at the City Ground and from a huge game for Celtic, and continue our build-up to tonight's action as well. You're tuning into the Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it.
Kick off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18 plus GambleAware.org.
At AJ Bell, we believe investing is for everyone, even people who know nothing about investing. Like Keith, who thought dividends were a boy band. Jessica, who thought compound interest was a prison dating app. And Sue thought FTSE 100 was a bit of under-the-table fun, which surprised her accountant.
Oh, no.
If we can make investing feel good for them, it's no wonder which have recommended us 7 years running. AJ Bell, feel good investing. The value of your investments can go up or down.
Nobody knows Vegas like BetMGM, and we know just how loud it can get. So sometimes it's important to turn it down or take a break. Because a little pause keeps the fun in play. To find out more about BetMGM's safer gambling tools and how we can support you to keep your play safe, visit the safer gambling area of our app or website. BetMGM. 18 plus, please gamble responsibly.
Aldi can't save you from that 6 a.m. boot camp.
Drop and give me 50!
But they can save you a healthy amount on this Greek yogurt. Fage Total Greek Yogurt is $3.75 at Tesco, but Aldi's is just $1.99. Aldi, always finding ways to save.
On day 3 of leftovers for lunch, have a day off. Switch it up with a double cheeseburger for $2.49 on the McDonald's Saver menu.
Leftovers left the chat.
Talk about Saver satisfaction. Served from 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary. Fees apply to delivery orders, subject to availability.
Big game this week. Want to bet? Stop and think. Because sometimes the best bet is the one you don't make. Gamble responsibly. Bet Fred. 18 plus GambleAware.org.
Hawksby and Jacobs on your side every weekday afternoon from 1 on TalkSport with Toolstation. Delivering cutting-edge comment, a catalogue of riveting guests, and drilled-down dialogue to power up your lunchtime. Plus, breaking news, views, and loads of laughs. Don't miss the nation's favourite sporting lunch with the legendary Hawksby and Jacobs every weekday afternoon from 1 on TalkSport with Toolstation. Next stop, Toolstation.
Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Talk Sport with Bostik. If you need a professional grade sealant with high mold resistance, easy tooling and minimal shrinkage, choose Bostik Pro Sealants.
At 7:30, here are your quick-fire sports headlines. Away from tonight's Europa League action, Robbie Williams has told TalkSport that Soccer Aid is perhaps his greatest ever achievement, having initiated the charity game in 2006. Crystal Palace's move for Jørgen Strand Larsen is in fresh doubt. TalkSport understands Palace haven't submitted the £50 million bid Wolves were anticipating. World Cup winning Red Roses head coach John Mitchell has signed a new contract until the 2029 Women's World Cup in Australia. And ahead of the T20 World Cup in India, Jofra Archer's back in the England team for the first T20 against Sri Lanka tomorrow. It's live on TalkSport 2 and on the TalkSport Cricket YouTube channel.
More fun than paying your gas bill. Kick off live on TalkSport.
You're listening to Kick Off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. Gambleaware.org. This evening, we are here at the City Ground for Nottingham Forest against the Hungarian League champions, Ferencváros, managed by Robbie Keane. And it is the Ferencváros fans who are to the right of us here at the City Ground, who have been trying to build up the atmosphere and simply trying to ensure that their team come away with the win that they're looking for to book their place in the top 8. So let's bring you a reminder of the teams in our commentary game then, with Forest taking on Ferencváros. It's our commentator Jim Proudfoot.
Well, 7 changes for Forest last week, Nat 5 this week. Gibbs White and Hudson-Odoi amongst those left out. Anderson suspended after his red card in Braga. Igor Jesus hasn't started any of the last 4 European ties, but he does lead the line tonight. This is the team: Sells in goal, Abbott, Milenkovic, Morato and Williams, Sangari and Yates, Ndoi, McAtee and Dominguez, and Igor Jesus up front. Kick-off here in the East Midlands, a little over 25 minutes away.
Jim, thank you very much. Let's also bring you the team news from Parkhead, where Celtic are taking on Utrecht. A vital game for Martin O'Neill's side. Watching it is TalkSport's David Tanner.
And Adelaide Celtic are currently in 24th place in the Europa League. That's the last spot on the table to provide progression. So a win for Celtic would see them clinch a place in the playoffs. Opponents Utrecht are out, already having collected just 1 point from 7 games. Now, if they draw, Celtic are at the mercy of the outcome of other games. Martin O'Neill's January signings, Thomas Chanchara and Julian Ahuro, are ineligible. They are the only 2 changes tonight. Colby Donovan and Sebastian Tunecki come in as replacements. Rio Hitate is suspended after being red carded during last week's draw in Bologna. Johnny Kenny was injured last Thursday. He misses out this evening. It's Celtic against FC Utrecht, and we kick off at 8 o'clock in Glasgow.
David, just while we got you, just a quick one. Just how beneficial is it for Rangers and Hearts and any other team obviously trying to get themselves into the European places in Scotland that Celtic are hopefully going to continue their participation in this competition?
Well, I think it will work against Celtic if they qualify for the 2 playoff matches. This is a team that's been struggling. There's a lot of injuries. Some of the players are clearly showing signs of wear and tear, and some of the newer signings that have come in have not impressed under Brendan Rodgers, Martin O'Neill first time round, and Wilfred Nancy. So I think Celtic could do without the Thursday nights after Christmas. Rangers enjoyed the Europa League in recent years under Steven Gerrard, Gio van Bronckhorst and Philip Clement. However, every year that Rangers were in Europe and going in extended runs like last season, their league form tailed off and Celtic were on to win the title. I think this year being out of Europe will do Rangers a real favour, so Celtic will find it tough. Hearts and Rangers, I believe, will benefit from a Celtic run in Europe.
OK, David, thank you very much. We'll have updates from David then from 8 o'clock. We'll also bring you up to speed with everything that happens in all of the games, including at Villa Park. Aston Villa then in action with their place in the top 8 already secured. They could, though, go and complete, they could actually end up finishing in the top 2, which would be highly beneficial for them, because that would then see them getting a home draw in the second leg of all of the knockout games that they're involved in. So lots for them to still play for, even though they have already booked their place as they did last week. Let's have a quick chat about this game then, as they're taking on RB Salzburg, with our commentators on TalkSport 2 for this one. It's the former Scotland striker Chris Iwelumo and Alex Crook as well, and Leanne Sanderson is here at the City Ground as well. And I'm just going to sort of throw out a generic question, really, and I'll come to you first, Chris, because Leanne and I have seen a lot of Aston Villa this season, particularly in the Europa League. But you go back to the start of this season and how difficult a start it had been for Unai Emery's team. Yet now, look at the position that they find themselves in. They're in the hunt, potentially, for the Premier League title as well. What would you put down the turnaround in fortunes for Villa?
I think the manager, he believes in his practices. I think the players that have bought into that, you understand that it's not going to go your way all the time, and I think he has that understanding in that belief in himself that it will turn around. He knows the quality that he's got. He's recruited well. He's got a fantastic squad. And little tweaks is turned it around. But individual performances probably playing below par. Results getting that little bit of momentum and kicking on. Now they've got to hear where they are in the Europa League. Probably not got out of second gear. Natalie, and tonight I think that he's went very, very strong to keep that momentum up. Fantastic result against Newcastle at the weekend, and it's just about having that belief in that. I'm in the camp that say that Aston Villa have we're going into February, they're 4 points off Arsenal. They have a real chance at creating and achieving something very special, especially with the players that are coming into the club as well, that know the club. Look at Abraham, Bailey coming back, Douglas Luiz as well. These are players that will hit the floor running because they have love for this football club, and I think it's just fantastic man management to bring characters, leaders into that dressing room to kick this club on, albeit, I understand big players are missing, you look at Tielemans, you look at McGinn, there's massive voids to fill there, but he's done well bringing the players in, and they have that ability to really kick on.
I think this competition has been a major catalyst for them, Natalie. I remember we were at Villa Park for that game against Bologna, and they hadn't won a game up until that point, and I think a lot of the Villa fans were a bit apprehensive. A lot of them were saying they weren't going to the games because they wanted to be in the Champions League, and I think it's been a real catalyst for confidence. And I agree with what Chris said. At that moment in time, beginning of the season, a lot of out-of-form players. Ollie Watkins wasn't performing. It was crazy to think that Daniel Marlon was actually starting in a lot of their games, and now he's not even there. He was out the door pretty quickly, which I was quite surprised at. But I think, this competition, they've been excellent. If you'd have said to any Villa fan, like before Christmas or last season, they would be in second in the Europa League and in third in the Prem in a title race, like they'll be thinking, am I in dreamland? And Emery's done a fantastic job. And like Chris said, they've had a lot of injuries of late as well. Kamara's now injured as well. But then Douglas Luiz is coming back. So a lot of the fans can be really optimistic about where the club's at.
Alex, let's come to you then on the fact that Douglas Luiz is back in, a man who knows the club well. What kind of impact do you expect him to have? And also, just in general, just a few days left of this transfer window, do you think Villa will do any more business?
Well, your timing is perfect because Douglas Luiz, actually wearing a very bright pink tracksuit top, has just been walking down pitch side. I'd imagine he's about to be introduced to the crowd here at Villa Park. I'm intrigued by this signing because I know that Chris thinks they've done some good business in this window in terms of not just bringing back Douglas Luiz, but Tammy Abraham as well, someone who knows the football club, someone who the fans know and love. But you look at Douglas Luiz in particular, didn't pull up any trees at Juventus, that's why they sent him to Forest on loan. Forest were pretty willing to let him go. I think he only played 14 games for them. So what type of Douglas Luiz are Villa getting? The one who struggled at his last two clubs, or the one who did really well here first time around to help them bring Champions League football back to Villa Park? In terms of any additional signings, I think that might be tricky between now and Monday because they're still having to operate Villa under these strict PSR guidelines, and that's why they've had to be quite clever with the business they've done. That's why they had to let Daniel Marlon go in order to facilitate the return of Tammy Abraham.
Okay, Alex and Chris, thank you very much. You can tune into them on TalkSport 2 then as they bring you full live commentary of Aston Villa against RB Salzburg. Coverage begins at 7:45. Kickoff is at 8, whilst we, of course, will be bringing you Nottingham Forest against Ferencvaros. We're live at the City Ground then. We'll keep you across all the live league tables as it happens and ensure that you are kept right up to date with everything. But let's chat more about Nottingham Forest, shall we? I'm delighted to say joining us here at our point in the stadium, it is correspondent for the Nottingham Post, Sarah Clapson. How are you, Sarah? It's really cold.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
That's the first thing everyone has said. How has the temperature dipped already? But hopefully they'll warm us up out there on the pitch with the performance that we'll end up seeing. Just in terms of Sean Dyche's Nottingham Forest, how do you view them and how do you think the fans are viewing what they're getting from this Forest team?
Inconsistent, I think would be one way to sum it up. When they're good, Forest can be really good. As we've seen in recent games, Brentford, Arsenal, big win against West Ham as well. When they're bad, they're pretty bad, as they were last week in Portugal. You just don't know sometimes which Forest will turn up. I think it's helped that in the league of late they're doing really well, so fans can see that they're picking up important points. In the Europa League, recent performances haven't been great. Different teams, of course. Sean Dyche has tended to rotate quite a lot in the Europa League, mixed it up quite a bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get on tonight at the City Ground.
Sarah, talk to me about this competition, right? Because from a fan's perspective, I said last week, John Jackson was out there, he was talking to us, and he was like gutted with the team performance, you know, the changes. Like, what are the fans feeling? Because to me, it seems like Sean Dyche has kind of thrown in the towel in his competition and is focusing on the Premier League, which I get. That should be a priority. But the fans want this competition, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is some frustration, certainly at the performance last week. The reaction from the fans was fierce afterwards. I mean, they were booing, jeering the team, probably quite rightly, because the performance was really poor. I think the frustration was that it was such a big opportunity. There was a real chance to get top 8, go straight through, avoid the extra games. They just didn't take it. Sean Dyche has said all along that priority is the Premier League, that Forest need to stay up. But I think the fans really want to do well in the Europa League because they've no idea when you're going to be back in European competition again. It's a chance, you really have to grasp it. I hope the stronger lineup tonight shows that he is taking it a little bit more seriously.
Yes, I mean, still no Morgan Gibbs-White is on the bench, but like, why do you think there's been such a massive drop-off since Nuno left? Obviously, Ange came in, we'll forget about that, because it was almost so quickly, it was over with. But like, I don't understand, because there's a lot of the same players. Like, what was it that Nuno got out of this team that Sean Dyche can't seem to?
I think it is the fact that there's been so much change. The 3 managers is always going to have some kind of instability, whatever happens. And it's gone from a Nuno-type team to an Ange-type team to similar Nuno style under Sean Dyche. So the players have probably got whiplash going from one extreme to the other. They've got different voices in their ears. Just trying to get some stability is difficult. I think they are getting there. I think Sean Dyche is beginning to get performances, and we've seen a few times, even early on in his tenure against Liverpool, for instance, Spurs, they're capable of playing really well. It's just the consistency that's missing.
It's interesting in his programme notes, just going back onto what you were saying about Braga. I mean, I feel like he's sort of slightly apologising for it in the notes, where he's talking about playing in Europe does come with its challenges, and that the increased load on the players is something we've had to manage. Not always easy to find rhythm in the game when there are a few changes to the team. So that kind of makes me think he's going, yeah, I heard you all in Braga, and it wasn't a great performance, absolutely not. But goals haven't been, have been a problem, I should say, for Nottingham Forest. Chris Wood, we still don't know what's happening with him. I don't know if you know any more.
I think he's going to be a while by the sounds of it.
By the looks of it as well.
Exactly, yeah.
What did you see? You think you
I mean, I did definitely just see him again, and he's in a leg brace, and obviously without his goals this year, I mean, there was rumours that he would be back potentially February, March, but to me, not to speculate, but he could be barely walking.
Yeah, I saw him at the training ground yesterday, and similar, he looked like he was struggling just to normal walking.
Yeah. So does that make you understand this potential move for Jean-Philippe Mateta?
Yeah.
A very good question that our commentator Jim Proudfoot posed a little bit earlier on to Alex Crook, our transfer guru, if you like, was, well, will Palace want to do business with Forest after everything that happened in the summer, Sarah?
And the fact they've come here on Sunday?
Yes, exactly.
Probably not before then, I imagine.
Yeah.
I imagine it's going to be an interesting boardroom on Sunday, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see why they're going for him. They want proven players. Sean Dyche has said that he wants proven players, and Mateta certainly is that. You know what you're going to get. Somebody who could come in and hopefully hit the ground running. They've brought in Lorenzo Luca, who is a little bit of an unknown entity in that sense, that he's new to the Premier League, and you'd hope that he looks like a Sean Dyche player. You have to look up to see him. He looks like he could fit in well, get on the end of a few crosses, but they do need goals and they do need more support.
Talk to me about Awoniyi, because at the weekend, scored an unbelievable goal, but not even included in the European squad. Like, I know hindsight's a great thing, but like that goal he scored at the weekend, surely they could do with these types of goals in this competition.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'd probably make a few changes to the Europa League squad if they could go back in time, and he would have added something for sure, because poor old Igor Jesus has had to bear the brunt in the Europa League, particularly since Callum Owendo went out on loan. I thought he looked really good. Awoniyi at Brentford. Brilliant goal. So pleased for him with everything that he's gone through and everything that he's had to deal with over the past year or so. It was a great moment for him. You could see how much it meant. He just looked chuffed to bits. Everybody looked chuffed to bits for him as well. The whole bench stood up to cheer him.
Unbelievable goal. Like,
it really was. Yeah, he looked back
sorry,
to
Nat.
his old
Nat's
self.
human.
I'm a Brentford fan, you see, Sarah. I think Leanne just wants to bring it up as much as she possibly can.
I want to ask Sarah about Igor Jesus as well, the consensus from the fans, because when I watch him, he puts himself about, but 2 goals, like, that's nowhere near.
No, he's got everything bar the goals, which is probably quite important when you're a striker. But he's got something, I think, it's just getting that last bit, which is the goal scoring bit. But he puts pressure on defences, he's got a good touch, he links up well. He works so hard, works his socks off, sometimes with no reward at all. He does need better support, I think, sometimes. You can see that his teammates are nowhere near him half the time. But I think he's got something.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I just wanted to ask, because you see him week in, week out, do you know what I mean? Because he doesn't just stand up there, he's always active, he's always putting pressure on.
Yeah.
But ultimately, as a number 9, you're going to be judged on how many goals you score, unfortunately.
Exactly.
What is it, 23 goals, I think it is, in the league that Forest have scored. So clearly not enough, and they're trying to rectify that potentially with the Jean-Philippe Mateta transfer. We'll see if that happens before the deadline, of course, on Monday. Sarah, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you
no problem.
very much for joining us and bringing us up to speed with everything that's going on up here at the City Ground. Okay, you're tuning into the Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Kickoff is fast approaching between Nottingham Forest and Ferencvaros. We'll have all of the final build-up and hear from Sean Dyche next.
Kick-off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org.
At Domino's, for just £4. Yep, cheeky little pizzas at a cheeky little price. Your bank account just whispered, go on then. So what are you waiting for? Order now on our app. Minimum delivery spend, charges and areas may apply. T's and C's, see domino's.co.uk.
Mr. Q. At Mr. Q, we tell it how it is. When players win, they love Q. Like a Portuguese prima donna loves polishing a statue of himself. But when players lose, they hate Q, like a last-minute VAR controversy. Mr. Q, the casino you love to hate. And you'll love 100 free spins on Big Bass Splash with your first deposit. Play at mrq.com or on the app. UK 18+ residents only. Minimum £10 first deposit, 10p per spin. Free spins must be used within 48 hours of depositing. All winnings paid in cash. T's and C's apply. Play safely.
Claim approved. Direct Line's ready to send my new laptop within 2 hours. That's how it's done. Imagine if everything was that easy. Like teaching little Johnny to play his recorder. Oh my. Oh, he's a musical genius.
Direct Line. That's how it's done.
Theft and accidental loss claims up to £3,000. Cover limits apply. Personal possessions cover needed for items outside the home.
It might be cold outside, but things are really warming up at the Wren Winter Sale, with red-hot prices on our high-quality, fully built kitchens and fitted bedrooms. Right now, there's up to 60% off fully built kitchens and all bedroom units, plus up to 7 years interest-free credit. Made for making you feel warm inside, whatever the weather. Wren, made for living. Visit your nearest Wren showroom. Offers apply when you buy 5 or more kitchen units or 3 or more bedroom units. Finance subject to status and minimum spend.
Sport. It's in your DNA. That's why at SpreadX Sports you get great offers and features to aid your sports betting, including £30 in free bets when you join and place a qualifying £10 fixed odds bet at minimum odds of 1 to 2. Visit spreadx.com/DNA for full terms and conditions. SpreadX Sports. It's in our DNA. 18+ gambleaware.org. Qualifying bets cannot be cashed out early. Once settled, get 3 free £10 fixed odds bets on consecutive days. Free bet stakes not included in any winnings. Free bets must be claimed within 28 days.
They are the prodigies of the pitch, the kings and queens of the courts, and the titans of turf and track. But who was the real deal? Every Tuesday morning from 10, join Jim White and Simon Jordan as they nominate the sporting star who's proved to be the real deal of the week. Don't miss The Real Deal with White and Jordan every Tuesday morning from 10 on Talk Sport with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Stamina, celebrity,
Lightspeed weeknight football. Kick-off live on TalkSport.
In a minute.
You're tuning in to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's ATNOverGambleAware.org, and we're less than 15 minutes away from kickoff then for our Europa League commentary game tonight as Nottingham Forest take on Robbie Keane's Ferencváros, who are unbeaten so far in this competition. It is not necessarily going to be straightforward. Forest need to win to guarantee their best spot in the last 16 playoffs, in the hope it gets them a winnable two-legged tie. Remember, the top 8 go through automatically. The next 16 split into an two-legged playoffs depending on where they finish from 9 to 24th, and then 25th and below are eliminated. So let's hear from both managers, shall we? Let's start with the Forest boss, Sean Dyche, speaking ahead of this game about their packed January fixture schedule.
I've said all along, and the club made it clear they wanted to get into Europe. We are. And juggling it has been, it's tough, but that's part of it. Trying to get the right team at the right time and a fresh team for the league programme as well as the cup. And it has its challenges, but I think so far, apart from the one at Braga, when we came off our performance levels, because the other games where we made changes, the team have done very well over in Utrecht and Malmo, particularly at home, and Porto, of course, were very good, but that was my first game, so you expect a bit of that kind of feeling. So overall, I'm not disappointed in it. It's just that one game in Braga when we were a long way off where we want to be, and that's a reminder. You have to be on it in all competitions. I suppose adversely to that situation, the league program's picked up, considerably with 2 wins and a draw, and the away wins as well, which are always hard to come by, and a very important draw against the top side in Arsenal. So, we want to keep that flow, if you like, keep the momentum in every game that we play. So we're certainly putting out a side that we want to win. That's certainly our mindset, without a doubt.
Well, let's go from Sean Dyche then to the Ferencváros manager, Robbie Keane, who was asked about the gulf between themselves and the other teams in this competition, like Forest.
What we've done so far is incredible. Incredible achievement. If you look at all the teams that we played in terms of the budget that we have, I think we're the third lowest in the Europa League. As I said, the games get tougher and tougher. I'm not naive either to think that I can come here and we can win the game. Of course, I always have belief that we always can, but they're way more superior than we are. There's no question. If you look at the valuation of it's nearly 650 million. One of the players is more expensive than their whole team. It gives away 60 million value probably.
So that was Robbie Keane then, just explaining the huge gulf between Forest and his Ferencváros. But it is Ferencváros who are in pole position to book a top 8 place. They're 1 point clear of the immediate chasing pack then, so destiny very much in their own hands. And Leanne, I'll come to you first, because you know Robbie very well. You went and saw him earlier on as well, as his Ferencváros team arrived here. How much do you think he's enjoying this experience in Hungary?
Yeah, he's loving it. He told me it's a beautiful country. The fans are incredible. I mean, these fans were outside the stadium for way before the game, and inside the stadium they were like the first people in here. He said he loves living there. All his family are coming tonight. He's got loads of friends coming as well. And he said, he plays with no fear. He wants them to be fearless within this type of game. And I think not just because he's my mate, he's a top guy and he's obviously a legendary footballer, but that doesn't always mean you're going to go into management and it's going to work. And I think what he's done with this team, I mean, I'll forgive him because he couldn't come to my wedding because he was working with Ferencváros. He said he never gets a day off, but he's loving it so far. And, hopefully long may that continue. The fact that they are in this competition in the first place is almost like a massive thing. But the fact they're currently in 7th, unbeaten, is unbelievable. And you know what? I fancy them a little bit tonight now. I'm not going to lie.
Well, Jimmy, you can probably bring us a little bit more details on this incredible away record as well that they have.
Yeah, it's stunning. So they're unbeaten away from home in 24 games in League and Cup and Europe. So the last time that they lost on the road was against Victoria Plzeň in the playoff round of this competition last February, 11 months ago. Unbeaten in 24 away games since then. Much better side away from home than they are at home. And if they could have produced anything like that kind of form in Budapest this season, they would be miles clear at the top of the Hungarian league. They're only 3rd. They won the league title the last 7 years. They're still handily placed, and you would expect that they will be able to push on and win it for an 8th successive season. But at home this season, the league, they've taken 11 points. Away from home, they've taken 23. And that is because they're such a good counter-attacking side. They do leave themselves a little bit open. They're a really good side when they haven't got the ball. And that could well play into their hands tonight. The only problem is that one thing that will change the dynamic of the game is the fact that they are the team that needs to win. It's not Forest, really.
Yeah.
A draw probably will get Forest what they need, but we could be in a position later on, if this is 0-0, that Robbie's men have to go for it, and that might not play into their hands so much.
It's interesting as well now, because something I wasn't aware of, that in the Hungarian league, they have to have 5 Hungarians in the starting 11.
Right.
Whereas in this competition, they don't have to do that.
No.
So it can be a blessing and a curse. I kind of like that idea of that to a certain degree. But then again, it limits you from certain players playing that you probably might play.
Yeah. Well, I can see to my right then the Varos fans who
Pablo Rosario, William Gomez and Samu Agahawa keep their places up top alongside a rare start for Pepe. As for Rangers, as we mentioned, only pride for them to play for. They did secure their first Europa League win last week at home to Ludo Goretz, and Danny Rowe makes 2 changes. Captain James Tavernier is fit enough to return. He starts at right back alongside Nasser Giga, Emmanuel Fernandez and Max Aaron. Jack Butland, as always, in between the posts. It's an unchanged midfield. Nico Raskin, Jedi Gassama and Mohamed Diarmate. And up top it's Jaden Megoma. Yusuf Chamiti has been past fit. And a rare start for 19-year-old Finley Curtis. So kick-off just a few moments away here. And we can just take another quick look at the permutations as it stands. It's going to be hopefully another roller coaster night in the Europa League, as it was last night in the Champions League. All 36 teams kicking off at 8 p.m. UK time. That's 18 matches to keep an eye on. I will do my very, very best to keep you updated as much as possible. But the big focus for Porto here is exactly where they will land and exactly how they could potentially make it through to the last 16. Real Betis above them in the table as it stands. They're at home to Feyenoord, so that is likely to be the game to keep an eye on. But plenty could change between now and the full-time whistle here at the Estadio Dragao. In the Champions League last night, of course, there was huge drama for the 2 Portuguese sides. Sporting Lisbon confirming their place in the top 8, but nothing will top an absolutely wild evening for Benfica. Jose Mourinho getting one over his old team Real Madrid with that rarely cited goalkeeper goal. Andre Trubin with the header deep into stoppage time means that they snuck the final playoff place, finishing 24th above Marseille, Pafos and Union Saint-Gilloise on goal difference. The draw for both last 16s, the Champions League and the Europa League, will take place at UEFA headquarters tomorrow. The focus for Porto here tonight, as we have mentioned, is making sure that they are involved in some form or another. And frustrating for Rangers, obviously the change in manager earlier this season, Russell Martin replaced by Roll. They lost their first 4 European games, 2 of those under Martin, 2 of them under Roll. Well, things have certainly improved domestically. They've won 8 in a row across all competitions. They're second in the Scottish Premiership and certainly look in a position to put it up to Celtic in the race to secure what will be either a 56th title for one of the 2 Glasgow Giants. They're level pegging, so a historical few months in store on both sides of Glasgow. Porto, meanwhile, at the top of the shop in Portugal, 7 points above Sporting and 4 Europa League wins this season. They've won all 3 here at home. They've only lost twice in all competitions and once in Europe. That was Sean Dyche's debut as Nottingham Forest boss. So they are the strong favourites to get the job done here tonight. But it could come down to a bit of mathematics over whether they'll be in the playoffs or there will be an automatic qualifier. Referee this evening is the Belgian Jasper Vergroot. It's an all-Belgian team of officials. Michael Gerholf, Marin Tiesters are the assistants. Kevin Van Dam, the 4th official, and Jan Botterberg is on VAR. Marcus Tavernier just giving a quick pep talk to the players around him before we get kicked off. Such a vital player and such a versatile player as well. He's actually Rangers' top goal scorer this season. He's got 9 in all competitions, despite being 34 years young and playing at right back. Remains absolutely crucial to Glasgow Rangers, and it will be Rangers that get us underway here tonight in their change navy blue strip, kicking from left to, or right to left rather. Porto in their traditional home kit of blue and white stripes, going from left to right. And it is Rangers that get us underway here this evening on a huge night for Porto. Chance, of course, as you mentioned, for Rangers to gain a little bit of pride and drive themselves up that giant Europa League table, even if it doesn't make any significant impact on their chances of reaching the next phase of the competition. It's Porto on the march early on here. Smart bit of covering defending there from Jayden Magoma. Just gets it back to Jack Butland and hammers that clearance away. A throw in for Porto just outside the Rangers penalty area here. The referee was surrounded there immediately by a couple of Porto players. William Gomez was appealing that he was caught by Butland as he cleared that one away. Nothing doing, says the referee. And Froholt will win another throw in for Porto. Push down this right hand side, right in front of the corner flag for the home team. So important there, Magoma. And he will drop in and cover in front of Max Aarons. He's a regular at left back for Rangers this season. Pushed into a slightly more advanced position tonight. It's only half cleared away by Nasser Giga. And it will be another throw in for Porto over on the far left hand side, midway into the Rangers half of the field. It's Finlay Curtis tries to chase that one down, put pressure on this early positivity from the home team. Long clearance downfield. There's a chase on here over on that far right hand side for Rangers, but Chaviti is muscled out of it. Now Porto to reset here. Forward from right back, Alberto Costa rolled into the feet there of Samu Agahara. The offside flag immediately flashes up against him. Leading light in this Porto attack. 20 goals in all competitions, the former Atletico Madrid man. I should caveat that by saying he never actually made an appearance for Atletico Madrid. It was a strange financial relationship. 50% of his rights bought by Porto at the start of the 24-25 campaign, and then after bagging 27 goals last season, they decided to make that a permanent deal. He is now locked in to the blue and white of Porto. Good challenge there on Gassama. Throw in for Rangers, toss back into their own half. Giga to Fernandez. Possession for Rangers here. Not seen too much of the ball in the opening stages. Goman Diomande forced back onto the edge of their own penalty area. Worked out to James Tavernier, the captain. It's only been one goal so far in the opening 4 to 5 minutes of all of the European games. That's Malmo in front away at Genk. We have just also had a shout in the ear that there's been a goal at Stuttgart at home to Young Boys. That doesn't have a great deal of impact on Porto's quest for the knockouts. Real Betis and Feyenoord is the all-important game in that one. Aston Villa at home to RB Salzburg. They're second in the table, trying to overtake Lyon at the top of the pile. As it stands, that Stuttgart goal has actually nudged them into the knockout automatic place. I have to correct myself on that one. Porto slipping down to 10th in the automatic live rankings. Plenty of time to change that around. 85 minutes to be exact. Tavernier's clearance is blocked away over at right back for Rangers. Fernandez goes back to his goalkeeper there. Butland into the feet of Giga. Space to build forward from centre back here, the Rangers man. Burst forward from Magoma. Max Aarons is actually tucked in field to allow Magoma to get forward here. Let's work back over onto that far right-hand side. Clipped in by Tavernier. That will bounce harmlessly over the top of Diogo Costa's crossbar. Good switch of play from left to right there by Rangers as they try and build a little pressure in and around the Porto 18-yard box. Tavernier does well to anticipate the short goal kick as it's played out. Now Curtis with the cross into the far post, nodded down, and Rangers are in front. Now there's a story that nobody saw coming on the night. 6 minutes gone, and it's Gassama who gets on the end of it. His 8th goal of the campaign. But that was all about the tenacity of Tavernier and then Curtis. And the Porto players begin the inquest over who was to blame from that. 2 lacks from the short goal kick by Diogo Costa. Tavernier wins the initial tussle into Curtis. That's an excellent cross into the box by the 19-year-old. Tavernier did really well just to anticipate 2 Porto players not ready for it. And Curtis wasn't hanging around. Floats it in. And Gassama just slips away from Alberto Costa at the back post. And Rangers, the team with nothing to play for on the final day, are in front here in Portugal. And that is a massive blow to Francesco Farioli's team. And the 2 Porto centre-backs, Bednarek and Kivior, have gone straight to the referee here, possibly appealing an offside against Finlay Curtis, but there will be no check, there will be no review. The goal stands, and Gassama has Rangers in front very early on here at the Estadio Dragão. And that nudges Porto even further down the live rankings, now down at 12th. We've got some serious ground to make up here. It is Samu Agahawa. Space to accelerate away down that left channel. Tries to just fire it across the face of goal. It's a combination of Gomez and Pepe, who were both bursting into the penalty area there. Neither of them could get a telling touch. Gomez was the closest to it. Agahawa trying to copy the example of Finlay Curtis and just get an early cross right across the face of goal. Eventually hacked away by the Rangers backline. Here come Rangers again. Zipped ball through the lines there. Just too far ahead of Gassama. That will be gathered in by Costa. We've seen Max Aaron drift from the left-hand side all the way over to the right. I think it's been an early tweak in terms of setup by Danny Roll. Gassama has come over to this left-hand side, so it's a front 3 of Curtis, Trimiti and Gassama. But Max Aaron's playing as part of the midfield 3 with Diomande and Raskin. Megoma shuffle back to his more familiar left-back position. Max Aaron's in a position to deliver crosses into the box, you would imagine, and he's obviously more comfortable doing that from a right-sided position. Rangers have now won themselves a free kick just outside the centre circle in the Porto half of the field. James Tavernier to take. Everybody in blue and white back for the home team. Floated in there by Tavernier. Headed away though by Froholt. Flag is up over on that far side. It will be a throw in for Porto in their left back spot. Raskin just not able to keep the ball in play. So 10 minutes gone here. In fact, that decision has actually gone in the opposite direction. The assistant referee gave in favour of Porto, but the man in the middle has whistled for Rangers. Tavernier will come across to take. Try and hurl this into the Porto penalty area. Thrown in towards that near post, is helped on Just not able to be gathered in by a Rangers player. And that will be pulled back for a foul. Trinity and Fernandez both involved there. Fernandez had a wrestling match with a couple of Porto players, so it's an easy enough call for the referee. Possession squandered though by Porto as Rangers work it all the way back for Butland. Clipped up to the halfway line for Trimiti. He can't quite hold on to that. Samu trying to make life difficult there for Fernandez. Hoofed away for a throw-in. Real end-to-end start here. Porto want to get on with this. They want to get themselves back into the game as quickly as possible. Cleared up towards the halfway line. Trimiti going stride for stride there with Jan Bedronak. Well handled though by the former Southampton man. Two faces, of course, very familiar to Premier League fans at the heart of Porto's defence. Jakub Kiwior is on a season-long loan from Arsenal. And the rumours in the Portuguese press are that he may well be staying on permanently beyond this campaign. Rangers will have themselves a free kick here, back in their left back position. And Rangers fans who are pleased by their own side being in front will have mixed feelings about their Glasgow rivals Celtic, already 2-0 in front at home to Utrecht. Celtic, of course, not able to qualify directly for the knockout stages, but if they do get a positive result tonight, they will be in the playoffs. And so will Porto as it stands. Still 0-0 between Aston Villa and Red Bull Salzburg. Nottingham Forest 0, Ferencváros 0. Still Betis 0, Feyenoord 0. Possession given away on halfway by Porto. Here is Moura. Faith in youth by Farioli. 3 players under 20 in the starting lineup tonight. Moura and Frodholt in midfield. Gomez in attack. As they do start to edge themselves into this game, you will see a bit more of an influence. Tavernier does really well there just to out-muscle Samu on the edge of his own penalty area. No easy feat that. Clearances won on halfway by Alberto Costa. Rangers do come out on top in the turnover though. As the goal scorer at Gassama. Just to hold on to possession momentarily on the halfway line. Diomande takes over now for Rangers. Megoma. He has shifted permanently back to left back now. Megoma. Rashkin, Diomande and Aarons, the midfield trio. Curtis there just trying to flick that long ball from Butland on towards Aarons. Eventually Tavernier steps in and clears the way for a throw-in for Porto. Samu does well. This to roll a couple of challenges. It's the first strike on goal from Porto's main man. Flies high over the top of the crossbar. Just takes the chance on very, very early there. It's always stretching, it's always rising. Butland just waves that over the top. So a quarter of an hour gone here, and it is certainly not going to script for Porto as it stands. On a night where they need points, it is Jerry Gassama. His 6th European goal of the season, scored 4 in Rangers' ultimately frustrated attempts to reach the Champions League. That is the difference between the two teams as it stands here now. Combination there between Giga and Tavernier. Back again to Jack Butland, lofted up to the halfway line. Chimiti loses out, this time to Varela. Porto just not able to make the ball stick as they try and move forward. Kivior takes over midway inside his own half of the field. Now Bedronek. Press that from Rangers, just to try and force Porto to go about their business a little snappier. William Gomez tries to roll that into the channel for Samu to chase, and he will. Manages to shrug off a challenge there of Njiga. Eventually recovered though by Rangers' centre-back. It'll be a throw-in for Porto, just outside the Rangers penalty area. Quickly taken by Costa. Here is Barella. Kivior fancying his chances there from fully 30 yards. Even less accurate than Samu. It's lashed again into the stands behind Jack Butland's goal. Francesco Farioli is certainly not happy with what he's seen so far. He's been in furious conversations with his coaching staff. Two very, very young managers here, both just 36, the German Roll and Italian Farioli. Both relatively new in their jobs as well. Roll, as you mentioned, taken over from Russell Martin midway through the campaign after a season and a half with Sheffield Wednesday. Farioli, of course, famously lost the Dutch Eredivisie title last season. His Ajax team collapsing in the final few weeks of the campaign to allow PSV to claim the trophy, and he hightailed it out of there over the summer to take over here in Porto. Here is Bedronek, just tiptoes over the halfway line. Kivior sidesteps away from Curtis there. Porto trying to work a shooting chance here on the edge of the box. That was Mora's effort that is blocked. Will be kept in play here on the dead ball line by Gomez, who was claiming that he was fouled, but the decision has gone against him. Now Gomez did well there, just gets himself in between man and ball. Gomez, in his frustration, just pulls down the Rangers man. Free kick for Jack Butland. Not so far as they're taking the lead at home to Ferencváros. In terms of the live rankings, that just solidifies their place right in the middle of the playoff spots. They're 16th. The win will nudge them up a little bit based on goal difference, but it'll take something pretty sizable to see them into the automatic places. Rangers win themselves a free kick here, just over the halfway line, which will send the cavalry forward once more. Tavernier stands over. Another opportunity for the Rangers captain to load one right into the danger area. Magoma has come across here, but I imagine it will be left for Tavernier. He's commander-in-chief in these type of situations. It's a huddle of Rangers players over on that far right-hand side of the penalty area. If Tavernier can get the delivery right, but it's floated over, floated beyond Diogo Costa's post. Minutes on the clock here in northern Portugal. Porto 0, Rangers 1. Gassama's goal. Only the difference between the two sides, and it's the team with nothing to play for this evening that have the advantage, and Porto, who need a win or a draw to try and sneak into those automatic spots, yet to really make a telling impact. That's it. Ball from right to left by Costa. Quite able to keep it in play over on the far touchline. Francisco Moura. Credit to Curtis there, he did well just to chase back after Moura. And it's the teenager who's brilliant little moment of invention and cross that's done the damage for Rangers. Really, it was a simple enough header for Gassama. Tenacity of Tavernier and the craft of Curtis. Here come Rangers once more. Gassama stepping in off that left hand side, just tries to float it in. He's caught in two minds there. I think he thought Chimiti was going to pull back and hold his position at the far post, but Rangers number 9 not on the same page as his teammate. And it's the one real chance of the evening that has created the goal. Porto have had a couple of wild long ranges. They've flown off target, nothing to really concern Jack Butland in the opening quarter of the game. Porto have won themselves a free kick here, midway inside the Rangers half of the field, and Pepe's gone down holding his face. It's Emmanuel Fernandez that is the guilty party that time round. He just get an arm across, catch Pepe. I think he's going to get away with just a talking to here by the match referee, Jasper Vergroot. No harm done either for Pepe. Chance here for Porto to potentially do what they've not managed so far tonight, and that is force a save from Jack Butland. I think they're going to try and work a cross into the box. Bedronek and Kivior both forward. There's Rodrigo Moura who stood over this. It's 35 yards from goal, so if he does go for it, he's going to need something special, and he tried something a bit too clever there. And it's played short eventually to Gomez, crossed in, knocked down across the face of goal, and cleared away by Tavernier. And the flag is up eventually as the Rangers players clear out with their own penalty area. It's Jakub Kivior who was able to knock that back down towards Samu that was offside. He just pulled away from a couple of Rangers defenders. Correct call by the assistant on this near side. And another situation confidently and comfortably dealt with by Danny Roll's defence. Long. Chimiti is the target, but Bedronek wins it inside the centre circle. Was a doubt for this evening, Youssef Chimiti, former Everton man, of course, who's had a decent start to life in Glasgow. Hasn't scored in the Europa League, but he's got 4 in the Scottish Premiership. Chances very, very reduced with David Moyes' team, of course. It's a move that quite a few Premier League players have made over the years, trying to reignite their career north of the border. Here's Froholt, and he's just to smuggle the ball out to the left hand side. Cross is blocked away. Francisco Moura, who's starting to become more involved in the game, raiding forward from left back, just allows that to bounce up for a throw in. Hurled in by him towards Samu, well held up there, but Chimiti back on duty will help to get it away. Curtis just clips it over the halfway line, and Porto will reset here with Diogo Costa. Everybody but the Porto goalkeeper pushed over the halfway line into Rangers territory. This massed ranks though from the away side back in, defending from the front, led here by Chimiti. Now Alberto Costa steps over the halfway line from right back. Barella, Kivior. Space opening up down that left hand side. Pepe tries to twist away from Max Aarons, who's snapping at his heels. Now Barella again. This is better from Porto, but just a sloppy touch there inside the centre circle from Pepe, but it's won back this time. Again, every time a Porto player gets it, it was Rodrigo Moura that time. There's 2-3 Rangers players immediately surrounding them and making life as difficult as possible. Ball floated in there towards Samu. Just eased off it by Tavernier and Aarons. Be a goal kick for Rangers. The two fullbacks of Porto are being encouraged to get forward by their manager. Costa down this near right side and Francisco Moura over on the opposite flank, and Rangers are starting to feel the pressure just a little bit more. Celtic now 3 goals in front at home to Utrecht. I think we can probably say that they're okay for a playoff position. Martin O'Neill's team. Nottingham Forest 2-0 in front at home to Ferencváros. Igor Jesus with the second goal on the night for Sean Dyche. Real Betis a goal in front at home to Feyenoord. Anthony with the breakthrough. And all of those permutations is making life more and more difficult for Porto. 13th in the current live rankings. That's a lovely little turn on halfway by Rodrigo Moura. Needs support, tries to go immediately into Frodo. Nicely worked forward here. There's an opportunity here, but just gets away from William Gomez, but eventually the loose ball spits up and it's turned home by Rodrigo Moura. And just as the chance looked to have been gone, William Gomez had actually turned away as his cross across the box didn't reach its intended target. Moura stays alive, and from close range he steers it beyond Jack Butland. He was the one who started this right on the centre circle, just brilliantly to skip away from Raskin. And Rangers desperately trying to get back in position here. William Gomez there certainly doesn't come off the way that he anticipated. Is a real bit of good fortune about it as it ricochets off a couple of Rangers players. Sits up perfectly here for Rodrigo Moura, and he steers it home past Butland. It's actually Magoma who takes it off the toe of Gomez and accidentally steers it into the pass of Porto's number 86. And Porto, who as we know need the points tonight, are back level. The second Europa League goal of the campaign for the 18-year-old. Beloved by the home fans here, an academy prospect with a high ceiling. He's got them back on terms just before the half-hour mark. What have Porto got now as they try and take this game away from Rangers? Pepe's away down that left-hand side, and that is a brilliant bit of recovery defending from Fernandez. Not quite over yet as the cross is floated back in. Samu heads it across. Pepe has stayed down inside the penalty area there. He was absolutely crunched by Emmanuel Fernandez. Eventually the referee will stop the game. He was away there, Pepe. He's just about to pull the trigger, 8 yards out. He's too quick for Marcus Tavernier, or James Tavernier rather, I beg your pardon. But Fernandez covers so much ground to get across, and it's a forceful challenge, but was it an excessive level of force? The referee confirming here to both sets of players that this is being looked at by VAR. And certainly from first glance here, Fernandez goes in hard, but he does get the ball. Does he take a bit of Pepe as well? That is the decision being weighed up here by the officials. Pepe has stayed down. No doubt that the Rangers man has got a crunching in on him. Brilliant bit of wing play here from Pepe. Just too much pace for Tavernier. And certainly on the replay that we've been shown here, Fernandez goes to ground. He does get the ball, but it's that follow through. Catches Pepe on the side of the ankle. Difficult call for the referee. In my bookie, he wins it, but I have long since given up trying to guess decisions that VAR are going to make here. And the Porto players are incensed by that. Farioli has watched it on the pitch side monitor. Unsurprisingly, he thinks it's a foul on Pepe. The referee here just taking his time as Pepe is removed from the field of play. He's going to need some treatment. And he's not being called to the pitch side monitor. The initial on-pitch decision has been backed up by VAR. Farioli, as you'd imagine, absolutely furious about that one. And I have to say, based on initial viewing and the replay that we've seen, it's an old school challenge from Fernandes, but he does get the ball. It certainly follows through in on Pepe, but was that preventable? That will remain the debate here, but no penalty. With 32 minutes gone, Porto 1, Rangers 1. Rodrigo Moura with the equaliser following Gassama's early goal for Danny Rawls' team. Porto down to 10 just for the moment. Pepe is still off the field and is now given the shout to come back on by the referee Vergroot. Aston Villa now behind at home to Red Bull Salzburg. What will that do for the top of the gigantic Europa League table? Lyon are still top of the shop as it stands. They are currently drawing 1-1 with PAOK Salonika. Porto now being level has improved their own situation. They're back up to 10th. The goal difference of +4. Stuttgart also on 15 points. And the goal difference of +7. So in order to keep their destiny in their own hands this evening, Porto do need to win this one. It is Pepe back in play. Roll back over for Francisco Moura. The Rangers have been happy just to camp back in their own defensive third following that equaliser. Rashkin dashes over there to cover in front of James Tavernier and wins himself a free kick. Already the Porto players are not happy with how long Jack Butland is taking over this one. Goes long once more. The former England international Chimiti loses out again. Bedrenek just knocks that up to the halfway line. Seen back to Butland by Fernandes. Goes direct again. Diego Costa will get his gloves on that one. Here comes his namesake Alberto Costa, darting forward from right back. Frodholt just over the halfway line. He's got options in this near right channel. Just try to slide that forward for Barella. Covering defending there from Nasser Giga. Just gets across to concede the throw in for Porto. Really quick to get on with it. Here is Kivior. Dead centre, 35 yards from the Rangers goal. Home side just trying to tiptoe their way forward here. The goal scorer Moore is blocked off by Fernandes. Corner for Porto. I think that is actually the first corner of the game at either end of the pitch. It is indeed. 35 minutes gone. First chance for Kivior and Bedrenek to come forward from this type of a set piece, and Moura will go across the take, right footed from the right hand side, floated in, cleared away by Rangers, and recycled back across to Moura. Alberto Costa just steps in field, thought about the early shot, but he'll just keep possession rolling for Porto. Gomez takes over, he will float it in. Butland with a shout to his defenders in front of him there. Claims that off the head of Finlay Curtis. be changes, of course, to the live rankings throughout the evening. There was incredible drama in the Champions League last night. As I mentioned before kick-off, it was the Portuguese team who were right at the heart of that. Benfica, absolutely bonkers stuff to secure their place in the playoffs, at least. If you haven't seen it yet, I would then look on social media, YouTube, Andre Trubin's late header against Real Madrid. Real Madrid, of course, dropping into the playoffs themselves alongside defending champions PSG. The ball floated into the Rangers penalty area, and it's a mix-up between Butland and Tavernier, and it's turned home. Porto are in front, and a catastrophe at the back for Rangers. Butland and Tavernier can only glance at each other. And it's turned home by Francisco Mora. And that is an absolute horror show at the back for Rangers. Just a clip ball over the top by Jan Bedřánek. And Tavernier thought he'd done enough to track the run of Mora in behind him. He just gets eased off the ball by his opposite number, and then Butland sliding in, bangs into his captain, and it's just towed over the line in the end by Mora. And from a goal down, Porto on a night when they do need realistically to win to get back inside the top 8, they're keeping up to their side of the bargain, and that is not a goal that Tavernier or Butland will want to see again. Just a comedy collision there. Tavernier doesn't deal with the threat of Mora. Butland just tries to sweep in there to deal with the danger. It squirts out, and it's turned home by Francisco Mora, who probably won't score an easier goal in his career. First European goal of the season for him. And 7 minutes before the break, Porto 2, Rangers 1. Well. And we can now look at the freshly updated live rankings. Porto are 7th, 17 points. That keeps them firmly inside the automatic places. Can they stay there? Rangers have been impressive in fits and starts tonight, and they're now behind for the first time this evening. Here's Max Aarons, tries to float a ball into the penalty area, headed away by Alberto Costa. Aarons will just allow that to dribble out of play for a throw-in over on that far right-hand side, just in front of Porto's penalty area. Tavernier takes over. Fernandes to Giga inside the Porto half of the centre circle. Diomande back to Giga. This little passage of play, this good response from Rangers to falling behind. Tavernier, of course, trying to make amends. Diomande trying to link with Chimiti on the edge of Porto's penalty area there. Diomande goes down. The decision goes against the Rangers number 10. A throw in for Porto. A free kick for Porto, rather. Diomande is helped back to his feet. We've just been shown another replay of that goal by Francisco Mora. And it's just an absolute disaster between Tavernier and Butland. Innocuous ball just tossed forward by Jan Bedřánek. It's tricky in those situations. As a fullback, you think you've done enough. Player sneaking in on your blind side, never easy to deal with, and Jack Butland just storming out, tries to take man, ball and everything in between. Ricochet goes against him, and in a blink of an eye, Porto are in front. Here is Frodholt, steps in off that left-hand side, links with Varela. Porto to get a third before the break. You'd imagine that would just allow them to storm away. Here is Gomez. He's got Alberto Costa on the overlap down the right-hand side. Cross is deflected. Turn behind for a corner for Porto. To the final 5 minutes of the first half. Intervention there from Nasser Jiga. Loan from Wolves, the 23-year-old Burkina Faso international. It's a rather patched up defence. Emmanuel Fernandez is another summer signing from Peterborough. Relatively solid though, certainly since Danny Rawler's come in. Corner is curled into the near post and headed home. And Porto do have a third, and it's Jan Bedrenek. And Rangers have capitulated here in the north of Portugal. The home side certainly haven't had it all their own way, but when the chances have gone in their direction, they've been absolutely ruthless about it. Corner just curled into the near post by Gomez. Bedrenek peels away from Fernandez. Great bit of ingenuity there from the Poland international, just flicks his neck. And as we've been showing the replay here, it might actually go down as an own goal against Emmanuel Fernandez. It's Bedrenek who goes for this, and he gets a touch on it, but it's Fernandez who ultimately gets the telling contact, and I think that might go down as an own goal. Both challenging for it, and that is the official confirmation from UEFA. Rangers with two defensive disasters in the space of 5 minutes. Tavernier and Butland getting in each other's way to allow Mora to put Porto in front, and now Emmanuel Fernandez in his desperate attempts to block off Jan Bedrenek, heading the ball past his own goalkeeper, and Porto in command here tonight. Depending how results go elsewhere, if they continue to score goals at this rate after the interval, they might storm up the table and finish in an even better position. That's really taken the sting and the impetus out of Rangers. Really good start for Danny Roll. One goal certainly avoidable. The second one might look to give Fernandez the benefit of the doubt. He's trying to deal with a difficult situation. But ultimately on an evening when Rangers just looking to gain some confidence and allow them to return to domestic matters with a decent showing and a solid result here tonight. That all looks to have been torn up. Porto have turned it round. Diogo Costa goes long from the goal kick. Gomez is in behind here, but he's tracked across by Emmanuel Fernandez, and then he's eventually fouled by Emmanuel Fernandez. Be a free kick in Porto's favour, right in front of the corner flag. Fernandez clearly irked with himself by that own goal, and he's got hands on William Gomez here. Just treads on the back of his heel and gives away a really, really needless set piece. It's the final minute of regular time. All eyes on Kevin Van Dam, fourth official. Other than that Pepe injury, we've not had too many delays. The scorer of the first goal, Rodrigo Mora, will come across this right-hand touchline to take. Kivior and Bedrenek both forward. Floated in, headed away by Rangers. Gomez will try and keep it alive on the edge of the Rangers penalty area. Eventually a foul given in favour of the away side. It's Gassama there who's hauled back up to his feet by Raskin. Decisions for Danny Roll at half-time, of course, as he inevitably looks ahead. Rangers away at Hibernian on Sunday. It's an opportunity for them to keep up the pressure on Hearts at the top of the rankings. Only got 2 points over Celtic, who were third. Hearts impressing everybody, or the neutrals certainly, with a 4-point advantage after 23 games. Three minutes of additional time. Gassama there just tries to thread a cheeky little pass into the Porto penalty area. Eventually just about cleared away. Curtis then lines one up, but it's blocked off by Alberto Costa. Certainly in terms of Porto's position, the permutations might not be that important as we continue on this evening. If they can keep control of their own position, which they are doing right now, stay inside the top 8. Bit of a flashpoint here inside the centre circle. Barella and William Gomez both being called over by the referee. Gassama caught late by Gomez, and then Barella's dashed over. Just a warning by Jasper van Groot. The final opportunity of the first half, you'd imagine, here for Rangers to get a ball forward. Tavernier, arm aloft inside the centre circle, hoisted in towards the 6-yard box. It's flicked on by Emmanuel Fernandez. It's kept alive on this dead ball line. Worked back to Gassama. It's a poor touch forward though by Diomande. Chance here for Gomez to break away down the Porto right hand side. Rangers need to get bodies back. And full credit there to Mohamed Diomande. Goes all the way back to cover at left back and wins out in that tussle with William Gomez. Foul on halfway line in favour of Rangers. Chimiti pushed in the back by Bedronek. Porto just happy to roll the clock down here. Final few seconds of the first half. It's half time at Villa Park as well. Aston Villa 0, Red Bull Salzburg 1. Utrecht to pull a goal back at Celtic, 3-1 to Martin O'Neill's side there. Lyon still drawing 1-1 with PAOK Salonika, so they're top of the shop as it stands. Nottingham Forest 2-0 at home to Ferencváros.
Given the ball away in dangerous areas, which has led to Forest going on the attack. And James McAtee has kind of been at the forefront to that, really, getting the ball, turning the ball over, and then helping to lead them on the front foot.
Yeah, he's been excellent on this right-hand side in the little pocket, just almost occupying the space in behind in the 10. He's getting on the half turn, making things happen. My only criticism of him is that he had this one chance on the right-hand side, and he's got a really good left foot, so I have no idea why he doesn't open up and just doesn't hit it. But other than that, I think he's been excellent in this game. I think Abbott needs to do a little bit more for him, help him out defensively as well. I mean, this is a kid that's 19 years old. But other than that, I think it's been a really good performance from Forest, and I think Sean Dyche will be really happy going in at half-time. Be interesting to see what Robbie Keane does with his Ferencváros side, because they have given away the ball far too easily centrally. No doubt there's a golfing quality. We know that, we knew that before the game individually.
Well, he said that himself.
Exactly, but there's a golfing quality in every game they played in, and they've got he's got a tune out of them. So the players have to step up as well, stop giving away the ball centrally, and maybe this game could change. But I think for Forest, they've been excellent.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider Ferencváros came into this game having been unbeaten in the Europa League, and as Jim was telling us, this incredible unbeaten record that they have on the road as well, which goes back to February of last year. It's simply incredible what they have been on, but it feels as though they have come up against a team who have really been a step or two above them when it comes to the grade level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, going into this game, Ferencváros were in 7th, Forest were in 16th. It's crazy to think about, but you're looking at tonight, and the golf and the quality is just showing through. But like I said, you know, Robbie Keane isn't going to throw in the towel. He's going to still feel like he can get something out of this game, and he's going to put that in his players to be able to do that. But I think for Forest, like I said, they've been excellent. They possess the ball really well. created a lot of chances, had a lot of set pieces. They just need to continue that in the second half, get another goal, and I think the game's done.
What about that game on Sunday then against Crystal Palace? We were talking about he'd made a number of changes, 5 to the team that won at Brentford last weekend. In terms of momentum, do you think in some ways he should stick to a little bit of what he's playing out here, thinking ahead to that Palace game, thinking that actually sometimes momentum is just as good as a change, as some people might say?
It is, but I think judging by how last week went in Europe and then they beat Brentford, sorry to bring that up again, Natalie, I promise I'm not trolling you.
Every time you've mentioned it, in commentary several times.
But it was a shock result, I think. I didn't expect them to go there and beat Brentford 2-0, especially because Brentford have been on a decent run of form. But ultimately, maybe what the fans want is them to go for it in this competition.
Yeah.
But Marinakis and Sean Dyche clearly priority is to stay in the Premier League, which I also understand, but this could be a long time before Forest are back. This club has a lot of history in Europe, right? And it could be a long time, Natalie, before this club is in European football again. So I feel for the fans to a certain degree, but good result tonight. They're still in it. They have to play extra games because they didn't expect them to have to do that before, but it is what it is.
Yeah, as it stands then, Forest are 12th in the table. They're 2 points off the top 8, but they will be unable, of course, to make that. And Ferencvaros, who were 7th coming into these games, have dropped down to 11th now. So looking as though it will be the playoffs for them as well. Let's just quickly run you through the halftime scores. And here, of course, at the City Ground, it is Forest 2, Ferencvaros 0. Aston Villa, who were hoping to bag a top 2 spot to enable that they would have a home leg second leg advantage throughout the knockouts. Well, they're losing at home to RB Salzburg. And the key line from that is that Ollie Watkins has had to go off with a potential hamstring injury. Certainly that's what he was signalling to the bench as he made his way off. Celtic are leading Utrecht by 3-1, which puts them into the playoff positions. And Rangers, really the only British team with nothing really to play for, they are losing 3-1 at Porto. The transfer window, by the way, slams shut at 7 o'clock Monday evening. There is a special TalkSport programme hosted by Mr. Deadline Day himself. That is Jim White. It's also the former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy who's with him, as is our chief football correspondent Alex Crook. Join Jim and a host of experts from 6:30. That follows Deadline Day Drive with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent across the weekend. And on Monday, TalkSport will give you the inside track on who your club are signing, or who they're not perhaps, online, on smart TV, on our app and on air on TalkSport. And you wonder, what with that potential Ollie Watkins injury, will Evan Gesson really go out on loan? We will find out over the next few days. You're tuning into the Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. The second half of Forest Ferencvaros on the way.
Kick off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org.
Did you know you can withdraw and deposit cash just around the corner at your local post office? We kid you not. We've partnered with all major UK banks to give you direct access to your bank account. And small business owners, take note. You can deposit your daily takings directly into your business account. With thousands of branches open late and on weekends, withdraw and deposit cash at post office. Visit your local branch today. Some banks may charge for selected services. Please speak to your bank for details.
What makes a good bet? At Virgin Bet, we think it's a simple bet, a responsible bet, a last-minute winner when you're down to 10 men kind of bet, with generous offers. A bet that puts sport first. Sound like your kind of bet? Then you're ready to get started. Sign up and new members get £30 in free sports bets when you bet £10. Virgin Bet, a good bet. £10 sports bet settled in first 14 days. 1.5 minimum odds. Free bets valid 7 days. T's and C's and deposit exclusions apply. Bet responsibly. 18+. Gambleaware.org.
Tommy French to bookmakers. Around since 1933. The sort of place your granddad would have stuck a scorn and egg and won a monkey. But now, say hello to Tommy French competitions. Easy to enter and the prizes, mate. We're not talking a voucher for a carvery. We're talking big cash jackpots. Instant wins. We've just given away a Spanish villa. So you got trust and a big dollop of flash. Tommy French competitions. 18+. No purchase necessary. Play responsibly.
And now it's time for Saturday's TalkSport Bet football forecast.
Well, some hearts might have said farewell to the stormy weather, but there's certainly no let-up in the atmospheric
excitement building up for this Saturday's broadcast Super Boost. Arsenal versus Leeds. Arsenal to score in both halves of the match. Current price 6-4. Broadcast Super Boosted price 9-4. Talk Sport Bet. Full of bluster broadcaster. Bring it on bookie. Offer available from 4 p.m. this Friday. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Talk Sport Breakfast in partnership with Arnold Clark. We guarantee the best used car deals in the UK. Move up through the gears every morning with top-of-the-range Sports Edition, ABS, story breaking news, and more goal talk to the gallon. Plus, a stellar lineup of super celebrity sports guests as standard. Talk Sport Breakfast every weekday morning from 6 on Talk Sport with Arnold Clark. We guarantee the best used car deals in the UK.
Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Established and excellent evening star of football. Kick-off live on TalkSport.
Matchday 8 doesn't leave them quite as front and centre as they'd like. With a place in the top 8 nothing more than a mathematical possibility, the chances of Forest getting to the top 8 from here a shade more unlikely than tossing a coin and landing 13 heads in a row. McAtee winning it back here, finding Ryan Yates. Yates drills it through the 6-yard box, and he's turning for an own goal by Erbush. 1-0 to Nottingham Forest.
Like I said, Igor Jesus will always be judged based upon his goals. Only 2 goals, but I like his runs.
He's got it again, Igor Jesus making his way forward towards the edge of the penalty area, and it is in. He squeezed it past the goalkeeper into the bottom left-hand corner.
He must have heard me, Jim, because I was saying about him being judged upon his goal scoring.
You're listening to Kickoff on Talk Sport, where it is Nottingham Forest 2, Ferencváros 0, and that is how it sounded so far with our second half commentary to come. So far so good then for the Tricky Trees, but they won't make the top 8 because all the teams around them are doing the business in the main, which means it's very unlikely that they can bag a top 8 place. That being said though, finishing in the first, between 9th and 16th will mean they are seeded for the